So Hforhustle, the hustle continues. We have a guest here today, Kelly Espino. Kelly, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love connecting with you. It's always a good time.
So Kelly, thank you. So the reason why I want to have you on you're one of our most popular episodes. People, with the
Aw.
listeners, they always kind of like talk about you, and I guess that's the energy and everything. But we're also living in unprecedented times right now, right?
Yep.
No one's ever seen anything like this. I've talked to 80-year-old people. They're like, I've never seen anything like this. They have no clue. How have you been dealing with all of this?
I've been good. Honestly, emotionally, I've been solid. And I
Okay.
am so grateful because I have done so much healing and inner work for the past 6 years. Like we talked on my podcast and
Yeah.
your podcast, when you start your own business, it is a direct reflection of you and what's going on internally.
Hmm.
So my business did not move for 11 months, nothing, no income, no clients, nothing. So I had to recognize holy shit, I had to put a mirror to my face and I had to do a lot of healing, which now looking back, I'm like, I feel like it was preparing me for this because emotionally I feel solid.
Yeah.
But what was affecting me is I wasn't feeling inspired for my business. I haven't been feeling creative
Yeah.
or, I haven't felt that need to I need to sell, I need to offer, I haven't felt that and struggling with that because,
Yeah.
being a full-time entrepreneur, I mean, this is how I pay my bills and everything. So it's been this internal struggle of what the F is going on because emotionally I feel solid. So
Yeah.
usually when I don't feel inspired in my business, it's because emotionally I'm off, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. I emotionally feel solid. So I'm like, what is going on? So I've been uncovering, a little bit of, I'm picking up energy from my parents and my grandparents and the outside noise.
Yeah.
And also I'm going against my internal intuition by trying to force myself to show up when I'm really being guided to just
Chill.
relax,
Yeah.
to just be.
Got you. So because of that, you're just trying to follow what that your internal guide is kind of telling you to do.
Yeah, but Jerome, it's been so freaking difficult because
Yeah.
I'm telling you for the past 6 weeks, I do these group healing circles that I'm
Yeah.
a part of. And the guidance that comes through is always like, just be, Kelly, just be, moment by moment, present moment, just be. And I'm like, I'm not really taking action in my business right now. I'm
Yeah.
not showing up. I'm not visible. I'm meditating. I'm going out in nature. I'm journaling. I'm doing all these things. But I recognize, Jerome, that I'm fake being. I'm not
Yeah.
really truly
Yeah.
surrendered. I'm doing things with the intention that hopefully I'll get inspired. Hopefully I'll reignite that passion that I feel is lacking in my business.
But
And
you're not truly present in it. You're just kind of going through the motion of it.
exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
going through the motion. I'm acting, I'm literally fake being. I'm yeah, I'm being meditating, but really it's give me downloads. I want inspiration.
Yeah.
So it's
It's not gonna
so
work. Yeah, it's
exactly.
counterintuitive. Um,
Exactly.
that's I definitely felt like that. I guess the first 2 weeks of this, the difficulty of it, I kind of just separated myself from everything. Like I don't know what this is, and I don't know what the feeling of this is, so I just kind of shut down in a weird way. And now I'm trying to find things to put into the world, instead of trying to fulfill me, maybe just try to fulfill other people and see what happens from there. So I know that feeling you're talking about of trying to
Mm,
push yourself, but you can't really, and trying to be
mhm.
creative when nothing's clicking, when the whole world seems like it's melting down around you and everyone's in this really weird anxiety place.
Yeah, really? Because I'm seeing you on these internet streets. I wouldn't think you
No,
were struggling with that.
I was just, that was 2 weeks after, this is now, what are we doing? 40 days now? It's been
Mhm.
it's the first half of this. I was struggling with that. So I was struggling tough.
Mm.
And a lot of the stuff I'm doing is just trying to use other people's inspiration, just kind of put stuff in the street. I don't know if it's working or not. I'm just trying something. That's really all I'm doing.
It's
Um,
working.
yeah. So the anxiety that a lot of people are feeling, how have you been dealing with it, and how would you say, other entrepreneurs, other people that are kind of dealing with this as well? How would your advice would you give them? First, by how are you dealing with it?
Luckily, I've been doing well, but
Okay.
I'm with my clients and I'm a feeler. So a
Yeah.
lot of other people's emotions, I amplify those emotions. And before knowing this, I would associate other people's emotions as mine, not recognizing that I'm picking up other people's emotions.
Got you.
So I know what's going on right now, and you can see it. There's so much freaking pressure externally. And what the first advice I have for anyone is to release expectations. Release them, let them go. Like you said, this is unprecedented times. So I'm seeing, men, women now having unrealistic expectations of, oh, now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a school teacher and I'm a mom and I'm a partner
Yeah.
and they're creating these unrealistic expectations, and they're stressing themselves out. And then on top of that, you have the pollution of these social media streets, right? Like what's going on. And I feel like what I've seen, two frame of thoughts. It's one of like, yeah, this is the time to write that book, to be the most creative you've ever been, to start that podcast, to write, and I get it. It's coming from a place of like,
push forward. Yeah.
I came across this post that was like, in the last recession, Netflix came out and Uber, and I get it. Like, I get the intention behind it, but I also understand how we work and our mind works. And we're like, oh shit, the time, the click, the clock is clicking.
Yeah.
I gotta provide, I gotta do this, but not recognizing that we're in a global pandemic, not recognizing that we are experiencing grief on major levels, not only losing people, but grief of jobs, grief of identity. There's so much coming up for us that it's like, hey, if you feel genuinely inspired to create and put yourself out there, what's up? That's awesome. I celebrate you. But putting this self-imposed pressure and expectations on a time that there's no expectations other than the expectations and the judgment you're putting on yourself, it's not worth it.
Yeah. 100%. So is there like an exercise or a thing that people can do to actually release that kind of anxiety? For me, I just sat in the shower night after night and just like sat down for like an hour or two, just like trying to let my brain just kind of go into random places. Is there things that you would recommend people to do?
I love that. I love my shower time too, for sure. Water is very cleansing. So first of all, just that acknowledgement is huge. I'm thinking of one of my clients who, she has 4 kids under the age of 9, one with a newborn. Wow. Yeah. She's an entrepreneur, mom entrepreneur, and she works at home. And now her mother is actually living with them during this quarantine.
Wow.
And her mother is one of her biggest triggers, right? You know how our family members tend to be like our biggest lessons and triggers.
Yeah.
So she's dealing with all this, and not to mention her hormones are all over the place. She just had a baby, and she's there stressing the hell out and being like, having to do activities with the kids, and then fearing like, oh my God, people are going to forget me because I'm an online entrepreneur and I'm not visible. And the amount of stuff that was going on internally. And I was like, yo, girl, like right now, we need to reassess everything. And just that awareness, I basically told her what I told you, how it's like these expectations, I mean, we have to release them. We have to let them go. And for, homework and whatever the kids, cool. But like life lessons is really like those meaningful conversations, the time, the quality time is really what's going to make an impact on these children,
100%. Yeah. Cause I started like abandoning like the school stuff. I'm like, I started like planting stuff with the kids. Like, let's see if this grows. Let's try to learn some real lessons in life, not like what they're trying to teach you.
Yeah, exactly. So that first step is self-awareness and evaluating, are these realistic expectations? Am I not really fully grasping the situation or I'm comparing and looking at other people, which may or may not even be the truth. So first reassessing, and that self-awareness piece was literally for my client liberating. She's like, wow, because when you're so stuck in it, it's hard for you to see it in any way.
Yeah. 100%. So the first one you would say is just acknowledging it. And then what would you say the next steps after that?
Self-awareness, reframing perspective with like what's currently going on. So that's like together, like awareness and reframing your perspective, and then letting go, releasing, and finding like what's going to do it for you. It's the shower, right? Mm-hmm. It could be meditating, it could be being in silence. It could be literally, I've been really trying to work with like that inner child, joyful essence. And I have been taking my computer chair and spinning around because it brings me joy and it reminds me of my like childhood. And that brings me joy, and that makes me like, I'm like, exciting, I have my little like trampoline, which honestly I don't really use, but I'm feeling like I should. I put some music on. So it's really, I'm not the type of coach that will say, this is that how to. I'll tell you what works for me, what I've seen has been helpful for my clients. But at the end of the day, it's all experimentation and finding out what's going to work for you. Is it working out? Is it yoga? Is it dancing? Is it meditating? Is it nature? Is it journaling? Like, what's going to help you?
And then figure out what that is, and then just try to go for it and work on that thing that best works for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
So what lessons have you learned? I mean, most of your business is online, right?
Yeah.
But what lessons have you learned, and to be more resilient, or different things that you're trying and adapting during this time? It's like, you're also, you're trying to ask people for money. Money's such a tight thing for a lot of people right now. So what are like certain things that you're doing and you're kind of changing around in your business?
That's a great question. I'm really, so like I told you in the beginning, there has been a disconnect in my business, and it's because there's a disconnect with self, because I look at, shout out to Facebook memories, and I look at like years late, like 2-3 years ago, and I could feel the energy of those videos. And I'm like, damn, I was so happy. Like I was so joyful. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, where did that go? And it's crazy because I love I love what I'm doing. I could never go back, although like ups and downs of entrepreneurship, I could never go back because this is so fulfilling, but there's a missing piece. Like there's a lack of joy, a lack of feeling lit up. And for me, and I know a lot of people, when I'm lit up, when I'm feeling like inspired or high vibe, they say, like I feel good, that's when creative like ideas come in, downloads come in, and I'm like, I'm showing up, I'm being more visible because I feel good. And it stems from finding what's gonna light me up, what joy to bring in. So that's like super important for me. Also getting rid of this whole forcing and pushing and driving and proving my worth, proving that I'm good enough. All that energy, that masculine energy, like right now, the universe is showing us that is not going to serve us. That is not we are literally letting that go. Do you agree? Because honestly, Hforhustle podcast, I didn't know if you were going to be agreeing with that.
No, 100%, because the push right now is not really that's why I've kind of, after those 2 weeks, I've kind of changed my, there's this book that I read called Show Your Work, and it says good artists copy, great artists steal, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm not really inspired, but let me try to go after stuff that's inspiring to me. And that's why I started reading quotes and started like just reading quotes from other people and then giving my 2 cents on it, and not using that like masculine push energy, but more like, let me just try to feed the world with something. It's inspiring me. Hopefully it inspires them. And I definitely do see what you're saying right now. A lot of people are like, this is the time, go get it. But it's very counter to exactly what's going on right now. And it worked for some people, but for the majority, it's not going to work for right now anyway. Because, there's only a certain amount of people are going to push forth when things are bad. And there's certain people who are going to kind of sit in it and kind of see what happens. So I kind of do a mixture of information, and I do agree with you 100%. Like it's really hard to do that right now. And sometimes when you see somebody trying to sell you something online, you're like, the fuck? This is so tone deaf right now.
Yeah. And it's crazy because honestly, Jerome, my business has actually expanded during this time. I'm like, wow, cool. And it's honestly, I'm pretty surprised because I haven't been showing up, but when I do show up, that's because it's pure inspiration. Like that is my authentic self. I'm not forcing it. I'm not pushing it. I'm like, this is what I feel right now. Just like the other day, a couple of days ago, I had an inner child healing client and it was so amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing that in the session in my mind, I was like, you know what? I want more people to experience that. You know what? I'm going to offer this extremely discounted because not for nothing, it lights me up. I love it. But also I wanted as many people as possible to jump on this. And I shared it maybe once or twice and people were booking it and they were like jumping on it. And honestly, I was kind of surprised because I had no expectations or anything. I just know how powerful it is. And that idea came to me. So I was like, and I haven't been promoting it hard or anything. Like I haven't even created posts about it, like only Instagram stories and Facebook stories. And from that, I was like, wow. So it was just confirmation for me anyway, is that don't force it. Just be like, we're going through a stage of authenticity.
But you're also providing something to others. Like you're putting something in, and I feel you're not like selling in a sense of trying to take something from someone. You're like trying to offer them something. And I think in this time, more people need their buckets to be filled up than to be taken from. It's like it.
Oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so that's one of the reasons why I think people are gravitating to it more, because people's buckets are getting depleted, and if they can fill it up, they would want to do that.
Yeah, you're so right. And
Yeah,
normally, like other business coaches would be like, don't discount your prices. Do not know your worth. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't give into those limiting beliefs. But I know for me personally, I worked with this woman yesterday. She's a hypnosis past, like she does so many things. And her session was amazing, but it was highly discounted. And I was really grateful that she
yeah,
cared about, like, she's adjusting, she's pivoting. That
yeah,
word is so hot right now. It's like
yeah,
trending.
yeah,
She's really seeing what is needed and adjusting. And I love that. And it's from a place of service,
yeah,
So it being purely from my heart, I was like, wow, cool. And then an old client started working with me again.
yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
People definitely need something, and they need something to hold on to, and sometimes the only thing they can trust is themselves. So like you're providing something, and that's why I've kind of pivoting some of my information to just being more like giving, not like rah rah. It's like, here's something that can help. It's helping me at the moment.
Yeah, spiritually, like what the spiritual teachers have been sharing and writing in books and everything like that, is that we're moving into a heart space place. Like we're
Yeah.
moving into that Cancer energy, that
Mm.
Cancerian energy of like the divine feminine, like surrendering,
Yeah.
trusting, having faith, being, taking inspiring line action, doing healing, inner work. And it just and astrologers have said like these old structures aren't working, the 1% and everyone's here, it's not working. And things are shaking up to rebuild a new structure, like
Yeah.
literally a new world. So that's business too.
Yeah.
I strongly feel that.
It's going in the right place. What is, you'd say before we go, what is one lesson you've learned, I guess, during this time? It's very interesting because you're kind of confined in the space that you've called like your comfort, right? But
Yeah.
after a certain amount of time, the thing that you created to be comfortable becomes really, really overwhelming. So what have you learned about
Yeah.
yourself during this
Two
time?
things, the power of just being. Like literally yesterday, Jerome, I had an unintentional day off. I was not planning it, but I had that session with that incredible healer. It was fucking amazing. And then I had other clients, but they just so happened to reschedule with me. And I had other things on like my agenda, but I was like, you know what? This is a
Okay.
sign. I'm just gonna like not do anything. I literally did nothing yesterday, and I didn't feel guilt. I didn't judge myself. And Jerome, today I woke up excited the first time in so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. You gave yourself the thing that you needed, which is just maybe time away from all of it.
Jerome, I can't even tell you the last time I felt excited, really excited to wake up. And my to-do list was like, boom, boom, boom. And it felt so good. I haven't had that I don't even remember the last time. So that was from just being like yesterday. And it
Yeah.
was such a confirmation that there's power in this. Like there's
Yeah.
something, this is not just like trending, like
Yeah.
there's power into this.
Yeah. So
And
that's good.
yeah. And the second thing I learned is the power of community. I do this like Vixen dance class,
Yeah.
and my girl Cece does it virtually,
Yeah.
and it's every Saturday. And my cousins from Florida does it. My sister who lives in another town does it. And it's just so beautiful that we all come together and we dance together. And, the teacher, she actually just lost her grandpa. So we had like a moment there at the end, just talking and connecting. And it's just so beautiful. People from all over coming together, and just that community is
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
Even if we have to be social distancing, there's such power in that.
Yeah. I know CC as well, and
Oh, yeah.
the concept of it, to me, I'm looking like, wow, she could create a whole nother revenue stream after her business. After everything kind of goes back to normal, she can teach a virtual class, which she can get more people than just in the space that she goes, that she has, a dance studio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you tell her that? That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I did, because she can now. There's two revenue streams. You could do one in your house and not cost you anything, and then you can have the space, and where people could come in.
And you know what I love about that? I know Cece won't mind me sharing. Before she took it online, when there was like that week of like unknown and uncertainty, she's like, I guess, and even before that, actually, she was like, I'm thinking about bringing it to online. And she was feeling anxiety for it because it was something new outside her comfort zone, but she did it, and she continues to do it and show up and show up. And that's just a beautiful example of like, we are being called to expand and stretch, and sometimes it's going to be super uncomfortable and bring a lot of stuff coming up for you. But at the end of the day, if you like, Cece loves Vixen dancing, like she's aligned with it. you show up, and then you expand, and
Yeah.
it becomes so much easier than you thought,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So if people want to reach you, they maybe want some coaching, to work on some inner child work right now, where can they find you?
Instagram at It's Kelly Espino, or Facebook at Kelly Espino, or you can go to my website, which has to be updated, but it's still, the energy's still there, but anyway, it's kellyespino.com.
Got you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for providing and giving what people need right at this moment.
Thank you. And Jerome, I'm telling you, you always blow me away, because I really thought you were going to be like, no, we have to hustle, but you are like, you always blow me away.
You got to be
Seriously.
intuitive. Sometimes you got to like know what's going on right now. You can't always be that way. There's moments for that, and there's times and places for that, and then sometimes there isn't the time and place for that. Really, sometimes you got to know when to push people and when to pull people, and sometimes you got to know that there's somebody on your shoulder as well. So it's different.
And that's great leadership, and that's like, it's just confirmation for you that you are meant to do this, like 100% meant to be an entrepreneur, meant to just, it's just confirmation for you, my friend.
Thank you
For
so much.
having me.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Perfect.